Alright guys, so moving on to our next Patreon request, and this one comes from Nolan Uneho, who asked me to do a faction war between the Necrons from Warhammer 40k and the Sith Empire from Star Wars The Old Republic. As always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon in the description box below, hit the third tier, that'll allow you access to do so. But other than that, hope you all enjoy this, and let's get started with the video. So, talking about, these are two ancient factions of assholes. Let's be real. Like, the Sith Empire and the Necrons are these ancient societies built on the backs of arrogant sons of bitches who ruled the galaxy for a good amount of time. So what would it be like if these two ancient dynasties went to war with each other? Now, we're going to be talking about, if you're wondering where we are for Necrons, this is still like 40k Necrons, but the thing we have to establish for something like this to work is like, where in the Sith Empire are we? This would probably be the era of the Dark Council and not with Vitite or Volcorum or just the Sith Empire, the Emperor in general. So you have to keep that in mind. So it's going to be the Dark Council taking on the Necrons. The Silent King is out and about, Emotech, all of them are out and about. So what would it be like if these two factions clashed in a all-out war between their races? The thing you have to understand is that both of these empires are ancient and have a lot of god-tier weaponry at their disposal. Hell, the Necrons have a star map that they can just click on something and it would just blow up. Like a whole star system can just blow up at the touch of a button. The Sith have similar items. They do. The Sith predicate themselves on building world-killing items. The problem is that they have world-killing items. You know, they have the Sith Empire has world-killing weaponry. The Necrons have galaxy-killing weaponry, and on top of that, god-killing weaponry. The Necrons have not only destroyed one pantheon of gods, the old ones, they also just wiped the floor with the Catan. So they've basically wiped out two godlike races. So therein lies a big kind of technological difference. Not to say the Sith don't have that. And the other thing you have to understand is that the Necrons, much like the Sith, and we're going to dive really deep into this, is that both the Sith and the Necrons are essentially, they don't really work well with each other. And I don't mean like Necrons and Sith Empire working together. I mean like Necrons working with other Necrons and Sith working with other Sith. Oh, sure, this is the height of the Sith Empire with the Dark Council and United Sith Front warring against the Jedi. They're still the Sith. Like, they're still like the dark side will break your chains and whatever. The Sith predicate themselves on on deception and power. So the Sith are going to try to dick each other over. But the thing of it is once you put the Sith... Here's the thing I will say, though. If you can get enough Sith to, stop fighting each other and get on a united front, that's how you take Coruscant. And don't let politics get in the way, which inevitably it did, but we're not here to talk about that. So, if you can get enough Sith, especially, powerful Sith, together, you can do a lot of good things, but the same can be said for the Necrons. The Necrons in their own right are more than capable of once you get them enough together, and once you get a powerful force behind, to rally them, whether it be the Silent King or just as important, Emotech, there's a good chance you can get you can definitely get the Necrons behind them if there's a big enough threat. I guarantee you if the Sith Empire went to war with the Necrons would really just bury the hatchet on any kind of personal issues, because they're like, oh, so we have another race trying to kill us. It's not like right now in the Warhammer universe where there's so many other races at war with each other, there's so many wars going on, and the Necrons themselves, there's essentially several civil wars within the Necron dynasties, that being Emotech and the Silent King. But if it was just a full-on war, I guarantee you the Sith Empire would probably nut up and shut up and get behind, the Dark Council, or more importantly, Sith Lords like Mar and Malgus, and definitely cause some serious damage in the opening of this war. I have no doubt in my mind that, like, the Sith Empire would probably score some early W's in this war. Once they figure out they're still, like, and keep in mind, the Necrons are still waking up. They're still, like, a race that is as powerful as they are. They still need those tomb worlds to wake up for these other dynasties. And therein lies the problem, because the Sith Empire don't have that problem. Numbers are not an issue with them. So, if you can get the Sith Imperial fleet together, and once they figure out, oh, these races are still waking up, and a lot of them are kind of unprotected, if we can find a way to discover them and blow them up, they will be down numbers. Like, it's very much like a numbers game. Because while the Necrons have like, weapons that are god-killing, you can't really use that if no one's there to pull the trigger. So once the Sith Empire discovers, like, how to discover tomb worlds, because this is a more advanced race than the Imperium, and they have the numbers to hold their own, that's the dangerous combination right there, is that not only are the Sith, have numbers to spare, not just, like, Sith Lords, but, like, your basic soldiers on their side, and droids. They also have the capability of, like, technological capability to hold their own. Not to the god-killing level that the Necrons have, but you have to understand, the Necrons themselves, a lot of that weaponry is lost or locked up. They can't get to it half the goddamn time. But yeah. Now, I'm not going to, let's also talk about the thing real fast of, like, can the Necron, the Necrodermis be cut by a lightsaber? We have seen that before in, like, with the Space Marine power swords, and they kind of operate in almost the same way as lightsabers. So, for sake of argument, let's say, like, lightsabers can cut Necrodermis. So, yeah, a lightsaber can kill a Necron, but I imagine the Necrons themselves, they could just teleport and repair their body, but it's going to be like instant death for a lot of soldiers, a lot of Necron soldiers. But there aren't a lot of, like, major Sith Lords that would be out on the battlefield, just your basic troopers with blasters. But there would be several Sith Lords who are more than capable of, like, using Sith magic to just decimate a planet or a whole army. Not to mention all the Sith Lords who are gung-ho on combat. I guarantee you Malgus would be on the front lines just tearing ass across the battlefield. Yeah, could you just imagine real fast how cool it'd be to see Emotech and Darth Malgus throwing down? How cool of a fight that would be of seeing Malgus and Emotech throwing down. I don't know who'd win, but just to see those two to clash would be really cool. Now, getting back on the Necron side, while the Necrons have that numbers issue, they are very more than capable of, like, once they get that god-killing tech going, and if they find it, oh no. On top of that, you also have to understand that your basic Necron soldier can, with that gauze cannon, or, a Scorpec destroyer, those things, a lot of Necrons can take a lot of damage. And even if you think you kill them, therein lies the problem. Now, the Sith can just can use light, your Sith Lords can use lightning and force storms and, force blasts and whatever. And the Force is something that, like, the Necrons have not encountered before. Though I guarantee you that Trazyn would be looking at these Sith Lords and all this new tech and be like, I am so erect right now. So much stuff for Salamis. So there's another. So yeah, Trazyn would just be going on throughout the battle to collecting, categorizing and collecting and saving these opponents. Now again, going back to, like, the Necrons, once they start, like, they're good at war. Like, they've killed 2 different god races, and they ruled the galaxy for a good chunk of a while. But again, if the Necrons have that numbers problem, they have to wake up those tomb worlds, and some of them aren't some of these tomb worlds are permanently dead, and others are, like, there's problems with them. Hell, they can just open one up and it's just it's like a bunch of flares that that just come out. Though they could just turn those on the battlefield regardless. So yeah, this would be an all-out war, and you have to that also the Sith Empire has an armada that dwarfed the Republic and a good number of other races. Could it eclipse the Necron races? If this was like Necrons post waking up, like pre Tomb World, pre the Tomb World advances, no. But since we're dealing with Tomb Worlds waking up, then we got a problem. But Necron ships ain't ones to be, taken for granted. So I would say the Necron ships would probably be a little more advanced than your Sith Republic ship. But you know what the Sith have? Numbers. And again, war is always when you get down to it, war is a numbers game. And when you have a bunch of psychopath wizards and an endless amount of meat for the grinder they can throw at you, there's a problem. And it pains me to much as say it, and I do think a war between the Sith Empire and the Necrons would be nothing short of absolutely devastating. I think I might give it to the Sith Empire. They don't have the same kind of technology the Necrons have, but they got numbers, and if you get the Sith really invested in a cause or a campaign, they will put all those petty squabbles to the side and focus more on, we are going to annihilate you, take your shit, and then use it to kill other people. So I think I personally might give this to the Necrons. The Sith Empire, Jesus. Yeah, to the Sith Empire. Anyway, so you guys tell me in the comments below, who do you think would win in this faction war? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, I'd like to thank Nolan Unejo for this Patreon request. And other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.